Hello, and welcome to 8-Bit Bastards Bonus Round 1. I don't know, Episode 1?
I don't care, whatever you call it.
So it's just Justin and I for this bonus round, and just some filler stuff in case we miss a week. This is going to be a lot of movies, TV shows, and comics. So this is not a traditional 8-Bit Bastards episode.
I don't think there's going to be any games in it.
No games. So if you don't want to hear us talk about movies and shows, delete it. You're eating.
I am eating.
So the background noise is going to be me getting my sandwich out that Justin ate a bite of.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah,
we got the same thing, besides, like, two things.
Two things.
I got olives and ranch, and you didn't get olives and ranch, my bad.
I hate ranch. I had a friend in high school, they ate ranch on everything. He would dip his Doritos in ranch. It was disgusting.
I had an asshole friend that was like that. He ate his pizza with ranch.
Waffles,
everything was with ranch. I felt like it was just he wanted to be different. Like, he really didn't like it. Because every time he take a bite, he looked like he wasn't happy.
That's hilarious. So I watched, we got over to Rico's and watched a few movies. I'm sorry about that.
Dick.
I know. We watched 2 Colin Farrell movies. I think they're both Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell?
Yeah. One was Dead Man Down, and the other one was... I can't remember the other one. Maybe they weren't Colin Farrell. I don't know. I don't remember. We watched Dead Man Down yesterday, and it's fantastic. It's really good. It's a little slower paced.
What is it about?
I don't want to ruin it too much because it would spoil a lot of the movie, but it's a revenge story, and...
Is that the one that has Terrence Howard in it?
Yes.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yes, it's the one with Terrence Howard, and Colin Farrell is basically getting revenge, and you kind of are not supposed to know that. But
the previews made it seem like that.
Yeah, the previews kind of give it to you that. So, but I would suggest checking out a preview for it and, watching it. It has some really good action scenes. It opens up with an awesome action scene. It ends with an awesome action scene. And the middle of the movie is a little bit slow with the kind of a love story aspect of it. But it's good. It's good. The chick in it is really smoking. It's like some French chick.
Oh, like you can't give me a name?
I don't know her. No, this is the first movie I've ever seen her in that I recognize her. So it's good, though. Dead Man Down. And it wasn't... I think it's one of his better... I mean, it's way better than Total Recall. Way better.
I honestly can't think of, like, one good movie that I liked that he made a movie. Like, the reason why I like Phone Booth is Kiefer Sutherland. He was the best part of that. The reason why I liked the FBI movie he did was because Al Pacino was in it. Like,
SWAT?
No, it wasn't. SWAT was stupid. God, that movie was so dumb.
I like SWAT.
No, there was this movie he did in like the early 2000s that he was training to be an FBI agent, and he went to a weird camp with Al Pacino. But
getting a drink.
I'm right here. I can see what you're doing. They don't need to know that. But it just seems like he's a better support. Like, he never makes a movie. It's always he's in a movie with a good actor.
I can see that.
Seeming.
Did you like the one where he did the remake of the vampire one?
Fright Night was awesome. It was really good. I enjoyed the shit of it because I was a big fan of the original. I thought it was good.
I thought it was a good homage, even though it was completely different. It was okay.
I liked it because it was in a sense realistic. Like, if vampires did have that, like, they couldn't come into your house without being invited. Like, he fucking, like, rips up the electric and, like, sets their house on fire, so they have to leave, which I thought was pretty funny. Not a vampire would just sit outside and wait for him.
Yeah, that's smart. Then we watched Lords of Salem. Rob Zombie.
I like Rob Zombie, but some of the movies, like, besides Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses, I really don't like any of the movies ever done. Like, what he did to Halloween, I thought was fucking stupid.
Yeah, Halloween I thought sucked. I thought House of a Thousand Corpses was horrible. I know, I'll get grief for that.
I can see where you wouldn't like it, but I don't care.
Devil's Rejects and 30 Days Later, whatever, or 29 Days Later, 28 Days Later. Isn't that a Rob Zombie movie?
I don't think so.
Oh.
28 Days Later? No.
Yeah, I thought that was Rob Zombie.
That's the asshole that did Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh.
Made that. The guy that did Trainspotting too, he made that.
So I like one Rob Zombie movie then, because I don't even classify this as a movie. It opens up with them in Salem back in the 1600s, and they are showing the Coven of Witches doing their thing, and they're all naked and they're all old and nasty, and it's really gross. And it's really it's that bizarre thing where it's just craziness throughout the whole movie. Even though I don't think it's a movie. It really it doesn't have a middle, an end, or a beginning. It doesn't have any of that. And
so it's not You don't think it in a traditional sense it's a movie?
Yeah, it doesn't have an act 1, 2, or 3. I don't know. I did not like it at all. His wife is a great actress. I think she does a really good job of playing like creep, weirdo, freak, and she's very beautiful. The supporting cast is pretty good. I don't know. It's weird. She's basically a descendant of this person that hunted witches, and she is cursed to have the Antichrist. And these modern day witches basically protect her so she can have the Antichrist. It's weird that like this dwarf Satan comes out with 2 cocks and he rapes her hands and she gets pregnant somehow. Yeah.
She sits like that and he fucks her hands?
Yes.
That's disgusting.
It's weird. And then she has this baby that's like this little alien thing. It looks like a potato with all the eyes on it. Like a rotten potato.
Ugh.
Yeah, and like there's one part in the movie where they're trying to have the Antichrist born, and the birth is a normal baby, and they're all mad at it, so they're all spitting on the baby, and they crucify the baby and like burn it. And obviously it's not a real baby, but they kind of show it, and it's a little bit disturbing. And I understand all that and stuff, and I could see it, as like quote art. I just don't think I don't classify it as. Maybe just it was such a terrible movie. And Rico and I were arguing because he thinks of his top 3 worst movies now, The Host is one of them, and that was the one that did Twilight.
Oh yeah,
Stephanie Meyer's The Host. It's a book that was made into a movie, and he says it's one of the top 3 worst movies of all time. And I say that The Host was even better than Lords of Salem.
Really?
Yeah. I would rather watch, if I had to pick, you can only watch one of these movies the rest of your life, I would pick The Host.
Yeah, I guess.
I thought it was awful.
I just think it's weird, like, and I think it's because before I had kids, like, that shit didn't bother me. Not to say it does, but, like, I think it's weird that they do shit like that, because in Human Centipede 2, the chick has a kid, and, like, the baby falls to the ground or falls in a car, and they go to stomp on the brakes and they're crushing the baby's head. I'm just like, it's tasteless. I don't understand why they always have to do weird shit with babies.
Well, it's sort of like the Road, where they show the baby, or I don't think they actually show it in the movie, but in the book, they talk about when they're roasting the baby over the spit, and they're roasting it like a pig, and they're going to eat the baby.
On the Road? What's that?
Isn't it The Road?
I never heard of it.
Is the post-apocalyptic one?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe I'm saying the wrong title of the movie, but it was pretty messed up. It was very dark. I thought it was The Road.
Don't get me wrong. I understand dark, but I don't understand what they have to do with babies.
The only time I ever see babies is really relevant is like vampires. They would only eat a baby because it would be the purest blood. It wouldn't have any infections. It hasn't eaten all crap food its whole life and have a whole bunch of preservatives in it and stuff. I could see it being very, very pure.
I get that. Kind of like a South Park episode where Christopher Reeves pops open the babies. Like, that shit's kind of funny, but when they do it, like, in a realistic manner, that's where I'm kind of like, that kind of draws the line for me.
Yeah.
Like, it won't ruin a movie for me, but it is a staple that will make me remember that movie.
All right, so I can cross Lords of Salem off our movie list, even though it shouldn't be a movie. Now, I watched this one on my own, and it's from 2008. It's Justice League: The Final Frontier.
It's supposedly the ending to the Justice League, the ending to the actual show, but the ending isn't the real ending because it stopped. I've talked to my friend Chris about it, and it doesn't. I heard the ending doesn't make sense. I didn't actually watch it myself, but the ending isn't like an ending. I
thought it was good. It's basically the formation of the Justice League.
Oh, that's a prequel one. Then I have misspoke.
This one, Justice League: The Final Frontier, is from 2008, but it's set in 1953. And the cartoon style is also like it's cartoons from the 1950s. And so it's really kind of old school. Now, the copy I watched online, it was weird because every once in a while it would go black and white, and I don't know if that was just because I had a bad copy or if it was done stylized like that. And I would really like to know if throughout the show it does flick to black and white and then back to color sometimes. And basically it's about, Hal Jordan getting his ring. It's about the Flash already has his powers, but, he's doubting himself and kind of like you thought, I just thought the Flash did this. He actually comments about that, and she's like, you have to go help. He goes, I'm just a guy that runs fast. And she's like, no, you're a hero. You can help. And it's like he's doubting himself and everything, and he doesn't want to be the Flash. Superman gets his ass kicked, and all the other heroes have to rally. The Center, that's the bad guy, is called the Center. It was pretty good. I really liked how it was a throwback to like the sound. Maybe again it was just the one I had, but it actually added to it. Even if I had a poor quality, it added to it having the black and white in there and adding the kind of crappy sound quality. Really made me feel like I was watching a cartoon from the 1950s, which I thought was really neat.
That's pretty cool.
Neil Patrick Harris is is the Flash.
I think he played the Flash
Yeah, he's the Flash, and I thought it was really good. Batman doesn't have very much a big role in it. It centers a lot around Green Lantern and the Flash and Martian Manhunter, which was cool. And he shows him getting to Earth for the first time, and him becoming John Jones and being a detective and stuff, which is kind of cool. And it shows them all coming together and stuff, sort of like the New 52, meeting each other for the first time and everything. And it was really political, though, because you can tell this is from the 2008 where Barack Obama is about to be elected, because at the very end, the general guy, after Superman is supposedly, quote, killed, he's like, we have to come together. He goes, we can't be Republicans, we can't be Democrats, we can't be da-da-da-da-da, because the different militaries are coming together to help as well. And I thought it was kind of cool how they did that, because it had a little bit of a political vibe to it. So you can definitely tell the writers of the time period are being influenced by politics.
Makes sense. It seems a lot of DC stuff is very political based. I mean, I don't have anything to really. It just seems like even when you watch some of the stuff, like they always talk about like the government. The government is always in everything that they talk about, or in any movie that they use. So I think it's kind of funny and cool.
But I really liked it. I thought it was great, and I wasn't.
No Flashpoint Paradox play that much.
No, it wasn't no Flashpoint Paradox, which my brother-in-law gave me. Let me borrow, didn't give me, but he gave me like the 40 of them, and I'm really excited to read them. He said it's unique that you have to read all the number ones of the different characters, and then you go back through and read all the number twos different characters. And I gotta call and ask him, like, who do I start with? Do I start with number 1 Green Lantern? Do I start with number 1 Cyborg?
I would imagine you would start with Flash, and then, like, for me, I would pick, like, I read the Flash number 1, and then, like, you could
choose your own adventure.
Essentially, you could choose who you want to go from there, because it's the paradox. So you want to see, because it's kind of like the paradox through their eyes. So you do Flash, then maybe do Superman, how Superman is affected by it, and then now you read a couple of his, then maybe switch to Green Lantern, see how he's affected by the paradox, and see how it goes from there, because they all intertwine still.
I'm really excited for the Superman one, because in the cartoon they don't show much of him, because he never got taken by the Kents, so that one will be really cool. So
I can imagine the Green Lantern one being kind of boring, because in the cartoon he's not the Green Lantern.
Yeah, and he dies so quick.
He does die pretty quickly.
Yeah. I've been renting a lot of B movies, because I see every movie in the theaters a lot. Well, not every movie, but I see a majority of movies in the theaters.
Did you see anything this week?
I didn't. Prisoners was the big one that came out with Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard.
I don't give a shit about that.
And Jake Gyllenhaal. And their kids get kidnapped, and Jake Gyllenhaal's the detective trying to get him. And we've been seeing the previews for 2 years, and Rico's like, let's go see it just so we can get it off our chest. And I was like, I don't want to waste $8 on that movie. I've seen so many of the movies, I'm having to go to like the B movies now, and I rented Ghoul. It was really cool. It's about these kids, basically like in the 1980s, and it's kind of like a throwback movie of like a monster movie. And
like Monster Squad?
No, because it's all serious. It talks about some very serious shit and like some messed up crap, and you're like, whoa.
Here's my thing, because with B movies in the 90s and even in the 80s were B movies, but good B movies. Like, there's no good B movie nowadays. Like, B movies nowadays are fucking Sharknado and...
Those are C movies.
Well, like Frankenprana, but that's what people see as a B movie, is this is good, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that quality. And I not to say story, but quality. Like, all those things fucking suck quality-wise. The CG blows.
There's no CG. It's like, they built this set, because I watched the extras making of it.
Oh, really?
And they built the set and everything, and it's actually done on the set of Twilight. It's the same warehouse that they did for Twilight is the one that they make this on, because I watched the extras, and they get the director, and they're like, well, you're going to be in this broken down warehouse, and we're still trying to get electricity turned on because the producer guy's messing with them, and it's actually pretty funny. And they pull up, and he goes, well, this looks like a real lot. He goes, well, we're going to try to get in here. He goes, just flash my badge and see if they'll let us through. And it was all a prank. And they pull up, and he's like, oh my god, this is the set that they shot like Twilight on or whatever, because it had the name of the warehouse. And he's like, we got this one. And they were all excited, and they hugged. But it's a cool movie. It's about these 3 boys that all have these different lives. The one has the drunk dad that like beats him. The one has like the perfect happy little life, and the other one has just a mom, and she's like psycho crazy. They basically these people start disappearing in the town, and it's the legend of the Ghoul, that there's this ghoul underneath the cemetery that eats people or whatever, and it's pretty cool how the story turns about, because it's a good twist in the end. You're like, whoa, shit, I didn't see that coming. You drop something.
Oh, was it?
Receipt.
Yeah, whatever.
But it was pretty cool. I like it. Check out a preview and see if you like it, because the ending is pretty neat, and it talks about some very serious subjects, and you're like, whoa, like it goes pretty deep. The writing's pretty good. The actors are pretty good.
What do you mean by subjects? Is it about like drunken dads?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like if you had a drunken dad that beat your ass, and he was a mean drunk, you can relate to this. If you had, a drunk mom that messed with you and stuff, you could relate to this. Or if your friends were jealous and you were the one safety house and like your friends would have come over and stay the night every single night and have dinner with you, you can relate to this. That's it.
Okay, cool. I'll rent it. Oh, they're younger kids. It's not like they're like 17, 18 years old. They're like 13.
And there's a rival, because they're like a little gang, and there's a rival gang that's a little bit older than them. It's like 15 that's trying to mess with them.
Did they beat the shit out of them?
No, it never shows that.
Did they get beat up?
No. One of the kids gets beat up, but not by the rival gang. I don't want to spoil too much for it, because I really liked it. For, like I said, I guess you can't qualify it as a B movie, but it is sort of a B movie.
Yeah. Well, and that's
it's not a Hollywood blockbuster that's going to be at Regal.
Well, that's my thing. Is that where we've hit to the point now? Like, even like think about like last time Val Kilmer did a movie. Like all his movies are B movies. He doesn't do big blockbusters anymore. So is that what we're seeing? Like Sci-Fi Channel is C grade movies, and then all the other stuff in Redbox are B grade.
I would say.
Okay.
Well, like another, I would consider it a B movie because it was not a big Hollywood blockbuster that went out, and it was Mel Gibson. It's called Get the Gringo, and it's been out for a while now.
Yeah.
I think it's 2011.
It hit theaters though. It was on theaters.
Oh, did it? I didn't know that, because I didn't even see it previewed or anything, and I just saw it one day on Instant View on Netflix, and it's amazing. It's one of his best movies, I would say. I mean,
bold claim.
Obviously, it's not up there with because he has such a huge number of movies. I mean, it's not Get Carter. It's not
he wasn't
Braveheart.
In Get Carter. Sylvester Stallone was in Get Carter.
Oh, what's the one where he
Payback? Payback or Ransom? Because there's two.
Payback, the one where he gets his $50,000 or whatever. I mean, it's not as good as maybe Payback. It's not as good as, Braveheart or, some of the other ones he's done.
Is it Mad Max worthy?
I thought it was great. It's a different type of story, and it's very realistic. I thought it was fantastic. He's really good in it, and the supporting cast is great. The storyline is great. I just thought it was really good. I mean, he has so many good movies, but I would put it up there with his good movies. Now, is it a part of his legendary movies like, Mad Max, Braveheart, Lethal Weapon? No, those are career-making movies.
Patriot was fantastic.
Patriot, which I show every year in my class.
Do you actually let them watch that in your class?
I have a modified version that was shot for TBS and educational purposes, and it cuts out all the sex scenes, it cuts out some of the extreme violence, and all the blood has been digitally altered to be brown instead of red.
But it's still blood. You can make it hot pink. It's still blood.
It's an educational modified version.
That's awesome. Does it show where the cannibal rolls and takes the guy's leg off?
Yep.
That's awesome.
It shows him like when he throws the axe in the back of the guy, and then he goes nuts because his son just died, and he chops him up. It cuts it off early and doesn't show him going crazy nuts. So it's a pretty good, cool version. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
In when I was in 8th grade, speaking of which, my teacher he showed Braveheart. He had a modified version of Braveheart. We watched big clips of it, essentially not really the whole movie, but I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, the Patriot. The Patriot and one other movie, my brain just went blank, are the only two full movies I actually show.
Monty Python?
No.
Why? Why would you show Monty Python in your class?
It's not relevant to my curriculum. U.S. history. We both seen Premium Rush, and I don't want to talk too much about it because I think we can pull it in to GTA with Franklin's Power, so I don't want to talk much about Premium Rush.
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was good.
It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. And like I said before, it has a weak story, I would say. If it was made in 94, it would be blockbuster. It'd be a blockbuster movie, hands down.
Agreed.
And I don't know if you're a big fan of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He makes...
Nightwing.
He's not Nightwing.
Nightwing.
Oh, Robin? You mean his name Robin? That is his actual name? Which was the dumbest fucking choice I've ever seen. Why didn't they just
That movie was terrible.
Why didn't they just name him Dick Grayson? Why couldn't his name just be Richard? Hint to Dick.
It was a terrible movie. I'm sorry. The more I've watched it twice since I saw it at opening night, and I even like it less now. When I first time we watched it, because we watched all three back to back. We went to the triple thing. You paid $40 and you got to watch all three. Like, you watched the first one, watched the second one, and at midnight watched the third one.
But you're one of them guys that jerks off the second one thinking it was the greatest Batman ever when it wasn't Heath Ledger. And people can hate me all I want. He was an okay Joker.
Okay.
He was an okay Joker, and I'm not even going to be like, oh, Jack Nicholson was the best. He was an okay Joker. Was he fucking Academy Award winning Joker? No, he played a role. That's like saying he was an awesome fag. No, he just played a role. I don't understand. Because he died, that's what made him legendary, which is stupid. Well, because the most annoying thing about the Joker is he licked his fucking lips the entire movie. Like, he looked like he was always hungry. It was stupid.
Well, I'll give you, your opinion on that one. If you let me say the third one, because I watched it the first time that night, and I was disappointed. I watched it the second time, and I realized there's so many stupid plot holes in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then I watched it a third time, and I just really don't like the movie at all, because the pacing is horrible, the plot holes, the acting is good.
Mediocre. It's mediocre. For the caliber of people that were on there, it's mediocre.
I mean, he's never really Bruce Wayne, so you don't get to see him be that asshole, which he did a pretty good job on. He's barely Batman. Anne Hathaway, who got an Academy Award for Les Mis, is too jovial, I think.
She was an awful choice for Catwoman.
And I know people are going to hate on us for this, but I thought it was. And I'm a huge Batman. I'm a DC guy. I'm a DC guy. I'm huge on the DC. And I just do not like the third one. And I've seen things online where people have done the 5 terrible things about Batman Begins of not even liking the first one.
The Batman trilogy I do like because I am a Batman fan. I like Christian Bale's Batman. I just think some of the choices they chose, or Christopher Nolan chose, I think were poor, and they jerk him off for making such a great Batman series. People don't do that for fucking Tim Burton. No one fucking goes and jerks his dick for fucking Michael Keaton. And those weren't even really that good of Batmans, but those were, kind of the first ones, so people always, go back to that. But I just don't see Bane, really. I like that they chose Bane because you don't get to see much of Bane. But Tom Hardy, I think he's great. He's a great actor. He does good movies, but...
The Sean Connery voice?
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Bane is Mexican. He is Mexican, and he's a fucking midget.
He's now Scottish or Welsh or whatever.
Yeah. It's, there's just so many bad things, and I understand people are going to be like, well, it wasn't supposed to be meant for the comics, but you can't make a movie, and this goes for X-Men or Silver Surfer or whatever the fuck they do for comic book movies. You can make these solely for everyone else. Comic nerds put these on the map for a reason because they like it. Don't fuck it up for them. X-Men, awful movies. Awful movies. My wife loves them. She knows nothing about X-Men. She loved Batman. She almost cried at the end of Batman.
Well, because we're comic book nerds, and we're, I guess, not the core audience they're looking to appease anymore.
And
which
that's
is
the
sad.
thing. And that's the shitty part. It's you're gonna take it and make all these guys hate it. And for me personally, as a movie, it was okay. I wouldn't have gone to the movie theater to see it. I'm glad I didn't. They're okay, but if they just did some ohms. If Bane was fucking Mexican, that would make sense. Not some fucking British guy. Or if he had Venom and he got really big. Something that makes Bane Bane. What made that guy Bane? He wore a fucking mask? He was no different than any other henchman.
And that's where I think a lot of times where we see the fanfare in the Marvel movies, even though they're not all perfect and they're not all great, but if you look at the first Iron Man, it follows the lore so closely, and it is one of the best superhero movies ever. Yeah, the first Iron Man, by far.
Oh, yeah, I would say that. I wasn't a giant Iron Man fan, so I don't see it as much. But, in the first one, you get to see, Rhodes look at, War Machine and be like, I'll wear you later. So you're going to get that War Machine the next one, and you don't really get shit for War Machine, even in the second movie. But I wish they would do
Iron
that.
Patriot.
Well, Iron Patriot, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I wish there was some more fan service, too. I think that Marvel does a really good job on some of theirs, and DC does a good job on some of theirs as well. If you look back at Superman 2, the Richard Donner edition, that's why it's so loved, is it followed a lot of the comic book type things of Superman and the story and everything. And
I see where they make the decisions so they hit a bigger audience, not just comic book nerds, because they're predominant more now than what they were, 10 years ago. You could write a story that could parallel it. You know, use the same characters, use the same type of person, shit like that. And that's what kind of kills me. I mean, and I always go back to X-Men since I was such an X-Men fan as a kid. Like, it's so bad. It's so awful. It's so awful what they did to the X-Men.
From a comic book nerd.
From a comic book nerd.
If you never, like my wife, she loves them because she never read any of the comics.
Exactly.
books.
My wife is the same. Like, she's like, how do you not like that movie? And I'm like, how do you like that fucking movie? Like, it just seems like they just take names and powers and they just throw them at people. Like, here, you're going to be this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, whatever.
That's it. To some people, it's disappointing, but to others, it's not. I mean, that's what with any movie, you know, you can...
Well, that's a thing, too, is I wasn't a real big Green Lantern fan till... I mean, after the movie, because I always liked Green Lanterns, and then everyone's like, oh, the Ryan Reynolds movie sucks so bad. I was just like, I couldn't see why everyone hated it, and I kind of see it more now, because I wasn't such a comic book nerd for Green Lantern until later. But I thought they did, in some of the things, like the guy that played Sinestro, he was fantastic. He spot on as a Sinestro. And then he becomes the Yellow Lantern at the end. And I wonder what they're going to do after that. Are they going to actually continue it, or did it do that bad for them to not make a sequel?
There's definitely not. I've never... There's been rumors, but I really think they're going to revamp it.
Really?
It's going to be a reboot, just like Spider-Man.
Sam Raimi got 3 hunks of shit before we got, good Spider-Man movie.
Bold words.
I love Sam Raimi. I love The Evil Dead, but those Spider-Mans are awful. Tobey Maguire was shit. It was so bad.
So bad. We want to thank the listeners for joining us for bonus round 1. Justin and I can sit down and hash through some movies and give you our opinions again.
Do one more, because I think we went too long on the comic book. We shouldn't have done that.
It's okay. They want to hear about comic books.
Do one more.
Let's talk. Okay, we're going to do one TV show. The new TV show Sleepy Hallow started. And my wife and I watched it Tuesday night, the night after it viewed, because we always DVR everything. And it basically follows Ichabod Crane. He is in the American Revolution.
Was Ichabod Crane, was he a soldier, or was he just a normal guy?
He was a scientist, I thought.
Oh, really? I just know the kind of the Johnny Depp version, and I've seen kind of like as a kid growing up, because it seemed like in the 90s, like Sleepy Hollow was a big thing during the Halloween time when I was growing up, and that every Halloween there was cartoons of Sleepy Hollow, there was movies, and now you don't hear anything about it until this new show. And it never really showed what Ichabod Crane was. He was just a normal guy, I thought. So in this, is he a soldier?
He's like a captain, and I don't want to spoil too much because the first episode gives so much away. I mean, they spoil the shit out of all their own things.
What do you mean? How do you spoil something in the first episode?
They just give you so much. You're like, whoa. Like, all the mysterious things that they could delve over 3 or 4 episodes, that they give you, like, in the first episode. They explain how he's alive. They explain basically who the Horseman is already, episode 1. They explain what they're going to do and what's going to happen throughout the season. Because you wonder, how are they going to continue this series on? And in a nutshell, it's going to be kind of like Supernatural, where there's the one big baddie that's going to be the huge story arc, but every episode is going to be, they're going to fight some little monster. Okay. Or almost like how Teen Wolf is,
really?
There's the big baddie overall arc, but there are these little mini monsters you have to deal along the way, or these mini crises that they have to deal.
Is it some type, like, they weren't like, I hope it's not like they were like weird cryogenically frozen and woke up or something, like,
no.
Is it time travel? What is it?
I don't want to tell you.
No, you can tell me.
I don't want to spoil it.
It's not spoiling it.
It is.
It's not.
It explains how they do it.
What are you telling the listeners?
I don't want to
watch this show about the Headless Horseman?
Watch a preview for Sleepy Hollow and spend 50 minutes and watch the pilot. And it explains everything in the pilot. You will know all there is to know about the show. What's going to happen, where they're going to go with it.
Well, okay, here's my thing, too, is you're saying that the Headless Horseman is the baddie overall.
Yes.
So how is it in the series of how they get to this time creates other monsters or something? Is that how you're going to tell me?
Sort of, yeah.
Sort of, okay.
No, I think, and the acting's really good. The writing is fantastic because he's from the late 1700s, and so he speaks that way. And so it's really funny, how they have to write him and his dialogue very different, and he has to have kind of a mild English accent because he would still have it, from the time period, and that's kind of cool. And it's funny to see them interacting. And the only thing I didn't like about the show, besides they gave away too much, I feel in the first pilot or the first episode of the pilot. He seems to be okay with everything way too much. Just like he's accepting, like, oh, okay, I woke up and it's, 250 years later. Oh, my wife is dead. Oh, these, horseless carriages are cars and this is electricity. And, he even makes a joke in the episode. He goes, because he's getting interrogated because they're, if they find him, with a dead body that the horseman had killed, and so they think he did it, so they're interrogating him, and they keep asking him all these questions, and he's hooked up to a polygraph, and obviously he's not lying, and he's telling him he's from 250 years ago, and da-da-da-da, and they're like, man, this guy's freak, and he's like, you've asked me all these questions, he goes, I have about 1 million questions to answer, like, what is this? And he points at a light, but he's still way too accepting. If you woke up 250 years in the future, he would be freaking out from all the differences and changes, especially from his time period to our time period. Now, if you went chronologically, you were frozen like you said, which is not how it's done on the TV show, but if you were frozen right now and woke up 250 years from now, you could probably be pretty accepting of some of the changes because you've seen such advanced technology. Could some of it still blow your mind? Sure. From the 1700s, where they didn't even really have science yet. Not anywhere near the type of science we have. Yeah. He just seems way too accepting of all of it.
Well, how is he supposed to be? Like, is he supposed to be like, holy fuck, this is a car, and just run around the car for 5 minutes and like touching it and patting it? Like, how would you handle that if you were him?
What I mean? Like when he wakes up and he reaches a road, he just jumps on the road or whatever. In other movies, I can't remember which one it was. They walk up the road and they're like, I know. They're putting their toe on it. They're like, because it looks like a black river, and
Hocus Pocus.
It's yeah.
Hocus Pocus. I was just
exactly. That would freak you out if you saw something like that.
Hard rock
that was painted and with like uniform, and you'd never seen anything like that, you would think it was something mystical. If you'd never seen something like that before, it would be very odd to you.
But does it show in his character that he's kind of like, is he just like a whatever guy anyway?
Well, there's so much more going on. I guess he doesn't have time to be overwhelmed with those little trivial things of what lights are. He's got to worry about the Headless Horseman.
Makes sense.
I think you should watch it. It's good.
I'll try it.
Try it. So you probably watch it online now. I'm sure.
I could. I'll find it I think or I'll download it or something.
You don't have to. NBC, I'm sure. I think that's the episode. Or is it Fox? It's on Fox.
It's on Fox.
So just go to Fox.com, and I'm sure they have it on there.
Okay.
They usually always do that a week later. And then tomorrow will be episode 2, so maybe try to watch it.
I need to get a DVR. I don't have a DVR. Since I got to the new house, I just got a normal box.
Gotta get a DVR. All right, so we've gone a few minutes over our 30 minutes, and we've talked a lot about some different movies. So we'll try to do this every once in a while to give you a little bonus episode, talk about movies and TV shows that we're watching.
And not just bore you with video games, essentially.
Yeah, because I know we do a lot of video games on the proper episode. So thank you for joining us for bonus episode round 1.
Thank you.